Hello everyone, Steamtronics Productions here. Welcome back to another game with Steamtronics. And today is a rather special gaming with Steamtronics, as you can see here. Oh, could we zoom out a bit, please? Bit more. Bit more. Oh, for fuck's sake, zoom out a bit more, I said. There we are. Welcome to the 2025 Robin Pool's Miniature Railway IMLEC. Well, the unofficial one. My name is Steamtronics, and I'll be the observer for this unofficial IMLEC. First up is a personal favourite of mine, the coffee pot engine, by the name of Sir Charles, and it's owned by Lucas Hicks from the West Riding Small Locomotive Society. Meanwhile, in the steaming bay, Mr. Stewart was preparing his manor class. Meanwhile, on the main line, Western Champion was shunting the coffee pot's coaches. Every engine would get equal amount of coaches, so every engine has a fair chance at winning. Mr. Stewart was tasked with moving the coffee pot to the coaches. Unfortunately, some idiot, Lucas, had left the engine in forward gear instead of mid gear. So when he released the brakes and opened up the reg, the joint on the traverser jerked him off the footplate and he fell off. Luckily, he clambered back on and regained control. Lucas blew the whistle and pulled the regulator, and with a cloud of steam, we were off down the main line. It's a real shame. The coffee pot, with a quite unexperienced driver, got caught on the hill and it unfortunately had to retire. How embarrassing for the driver, and more for the engine. It's a shame to see the first engine retire, especially when it's one of my favourite locos personally, and a lot of people say the coffee pot is their favourite locomotive too. I suppose we can say that Lucas did the best that he could with the very little skill set that he has. Next up is Ralph Ingham's 5-inch gauge Quarry Hunslet, driven by the very talented Mr. Stewart. And as you can see, Lucas Hicks is staring at it, probably wishing that he was as good a driver as the legend that's Mr. Stewart. Since his disaster out on the main line, Lukas has been demoted to traverser operator.
Smoke in my eyes, soot in my hair, cinders in my shoes. I'm watching the needle falling away and singing the 8th grade blues. Well, we're running late in the sorry state on 8215. She's overdue for boiler work and I can't get her to steam. With 1,000 tons of coal behind and the tender full of slag. Me mate sent me to Coventry and he just won't answer back. Well, smoke in my eyes, soot in my hair, cinders in my shoes. I'm watching the needle falling away and singing the 8th grade blues. Now across the cab the driver sits and he's staring straight ahead. He's not spoken to me for 18 months since I started at the shed. He's drawn a line across the cab for each of us to stand. Since he found I'd joined the NUR while he was an as-left man. Well, smoke in my eyes, soot in my hair, cinders in my shoes. I'm watching the needle falling away and singing the 8th grade blues. I fired a thin and piled it in, but still she wouldn't go.
All too soon, the quarry Hunslet ran out of steam and had to stop for a blow-up.
I've smashed the clinker, cleaned the fire, tried every trick I know. With the rake and dart, but that old fart blames me for all our woes. Smoke in my eyes, soot in my hair, cinders in my shoes. I'm watching the needle falling away and singing the 8th grade blues. With a 1 in 60 climb ahead and the water out of sight, we'll have to stop and blow her up for the second time tonight. The load comes on the engine and the start is showing green. I'm looking for the banker, but no banker's to be seen. Just smoke in my eyes, soot in my hair, cinders in my shoes. I'm watching the needle falling away and singing the 8th grade blues. Now the driver comes from Motherwell, his face I can't abide. He only knows full forward gear with the regulator wide. I can't touch his injector and mine is short of breath. I wish his balls
The cameras were just set up at the finish line when we heard the cry of despair that was the quarry Hunslet's whistle. It had failed once again, but not for long, for it struggled onwards.
Smoke in my eyes, soot in my hair, cinders in my shoes. I'm watching the needle falling away and singing the 8th grade blues.
Well, that was a start at least. The first completed lap of the IMLEC. Quarry Hunslet, 11 minutes, 47 seconds. Yeah, that's a start. On to the next engine, I guess. Next up is John Lockwood's 5-inch gauge collet goods, driven by the infamous Lukas Hicks. Yes, we were short on drivers, so unfortunately, John Lockwood was taken ill and couldn't be here today. May Audrey have mercy on us all. As Lukas nipped to the toilet, because he needed a shit, Mr. Stewart shunting the coaches for the collet goods. After the coaches were coupled up, the collet goods pulled out with whistle open wide, the cylinder cocks hissing. Unsurprisingly, unexperienced Lukas already started shoveling on coal, as he hadn't built up the fire properly. Not a very good look. I don't believe it. The Collett goods knocked the Quarry Huntler off the leaderboard, despite having a shit driver. Next up, we have Mr. Stewart's Great Western Manor. And amazingly, the Great Western Manor smashed it out of the park with its astonishing 5 minutes, 36 seconds. Just incredible. Last but not least, we have a 77 XX driven by Mr. Stewart and owned by Lucas X. Unfortunately, the engine's injector is playing up a little bit today, and they needed a quick injector test before the run. The injector seemed to work fine. They were quickly rushed out onto the main line. With a cloud of steam, the 77 XX puffed up. Unfortunately, not too far out of Robin Holt's station limits, the injector played up and it had to retire. Mr. Stewart was forced to drop the fire. He tried to strap a one to the station, but no use. The pressure was dropping quickly, Lukas Hicks, probably very embarrassed of his engine. Got H.G. Harrison to shunt his engine back to the steaming bay. How embarrassing. We got Pania back to the steaming bay and we had to work fast. Pressure in the boiler was rising fast. It had already started blowing off when we were moving it, the traverser. We had to work fast to get it, the steaming bay, to drop the fire. Otherwise, it might cause damage to the crown sheet if we uncover it. We didn't push it for the only reason being it was quicker if we drove it. Such a beautiful engine having to retire. And that signals the end of our unofficial IMLEC competition. All of the engines started, but unfortunately, not all of them finished. Nevertheless, we've seen some spirited competitors today who have put in an amazing fighting chance. Thankfully, 3 engines did finish. So, in last, but by no means losing place, is Ralph Ingham's 5-inch gauge Quarry Hunslet, a personal favourite of mine. In second place, John Lockwood with his 5-inch gauge Great Western Call It Goods. But the winner of the Robin Pools Miniature Railways unofficial IMLEC 2025 is Mr. Stewart and his Great Western Manor. But to be completely honest with you guys, there wasn't really much of a competition. Not because some locos outpowered the others, no. It's because at the end of the day, it's not about the top prize. It was because they wanted to be here. To feel the sense of community that you can only get during amazing events like that, regardless of if an engine retires, disintegrates, runs out of steam, or finishes. It's not about winning. It's all about having fun as a community, and that I think is pretty great. My name is Steamtronics, and I would like to thank you for tuning in for such an amazing event. And this is Steamtronics Productions, signing off.